and Information Secretary. And we will be discussing, among other things, the newly enacted cyber crimes law that was recently signed by the Republican President, Dr. Hakainde Hichilema. And to delve into this discussion, I hereby welcome to you Ambassador Emmanuel Mwamba, who is going to be with me for the next hour in discussing the newly enacted law. Mr. Mwamba is currently in the United States, and we will be interacting with him on this platform. And I formally bring onto the screen Ambassador Emmanuel Mwamba.
Good evening, and good evening to dear Zambians that are watching us either by social media or through Millennium TV.
Thank you very much. You're welcome, Ambassador. I'm quite keen that we will be in for a very interesting program. And my name is Collins Bonsamulipa, your host from Millennium Television Zambia studio. Ambassador Mwamba, we have seen a ton of events in the recent times that have brought in controversy and a lot of talking points. And among these especially has been the newly enacted cyber crimes law that was recently signed by the Republican president. And this has generated a lot of discourse across the nation. It has brought about suspicion. Others feel discontent that it might infringe on their rights. Yet other sections of society are looking at this as a step in the right direction to curb a lot of misuse on social media. What is your take on the cyber crimes law? And particularly, can you outline or briefly outline the main concerns surrounding the newly signed Cyber Crimes Act number 4 of 2005?
Thank you very much, Collins. We are very concerned with the raft of bills that were brought to Parliament in 2023, 2024, and 2025. They are of very deep concerns, and we have to discuss them broadly before we discuss the cyber crimes. The NGO bill, which is amending the NGO bill of 2009, literally is outlawing civil society grouping and their activities in Zambia, because they're required to be regulated, to be controlled by an outer body they'll form, like a mother body that they'll form, and they'll be all regulated by this NGO Act, the new one that that they've introduced in 2025. You look at the closed circuit television bill, is also very oppressive, very intrusive. It takes away private rights and your privacy and your right to privacy. It gives a lot of powers to security officers. Further, then the two laws, the Cyber Crime and Cyber Security Act, that were assented to by the President on 8th April 2025. Our concerns is not about cyber crimes or cyber security. I think we need to police this space. Has agreed that they are scams. They need to be protected, safe for children. We need to protect the data that emerges on cyber security, and that we have to ensure that our children are not affected by child pornography, and that the space is not used by criminals. All of us are agreed to that extent. Our biggest objection is for someone to import these new speech offenses of ethnic discussions, hate speech, and other criminal libel offenses into a cyber law and cyber security. That is our biggest contention. First of all, we have enough laws regarding speech offenses, whether it's criminal defamation, whether it's defamation, whether it's sedition, whether it is hate speech, that are available before Penal Code and in the various acts of parliaments that already exist. There was need to impose into a law designed to deal with cyber and cyber security. Further, you cannot bring the kind of sanctions that have been provided, Collins, from 5 years, 7 years, 14 years, 20 years, and life imprisonment. Essentially, those are our two concerns, that you are trying to use a law designed cyber, a law designed to police cyber, and a law designed for data protection and cyber security. Then you put in these speech offenses. That's where the chalice is poisoned.
That people are highlighting, and people feel that maybe this is going to restrict the space within which people are free to express themselves. How do you respond to the critics that these laws, particularly the provisions criminalizing the sharing of police callouts and inciting ethnic division, infringing on citizens' right to free expressions as enshrined in the Constitution?
Yeah. You have to excuse me. I need to resolve my technical aspects, so I'll be removing my microphone when you ask me. First of all, when you scan the law, the way it has been designed, issues of concern, especially to the media, especially to critics like you and me, especially to members of the opposition, especially to civil society, are these provisions, I think from Article 19 way up to 24, that are not dealings of cyber crimes or cyber security. Like I stated, these are speech offenses. The one on false information, who categorizes that this information is false? Because I can bring a strong opinion and someone who's just going to declare it as propaganda or false, and you can go to prison, for 5 years. The deceptive use of electronic communication, where they are literally outlawing forwarding of messages. You only have to forward message that you have generated. And if you are forwarding numerous messages to people that have not even requested for, on WhatsApp, you just wake up and you see people have forwarded message to your inbox or into your groups. That has been criminalized, that you are using electronic communication in a deceptive manner. Then there's what they're calling unlawful disclosure of details of investigation. This has been provided for, I think, in Article 20. Again, this is to prevent whistleblowers and all of us to get hold of the investigations that currently could be going on for maybe whichever ministry, whichever government, or whichever state-owned enterprise where corruption is taking place. They've criminalized any release of such information. They want it authorized now. There are many times when we want the SEC to confirm. For example, it took a long time for the Anti-Corruption Commission to confirm that they were investigating 5 cabinet ministers. It took public pressure to say, we are aware that your officers, SEC, are interested in these 5 cabinet ministers over these tender or corrupt issues. And SEC came, and even when they came officially, they didn't even name the persons that were involved. Again, this doesn't promote democracy, doesn't promote transparency or accountability. In fact, it puts a carpet on the debt. It hides the debt under the carpet. There is another matter of very serious concern, is the one where they've imported what they're calling cyber terrorism. We already have an Anti-Terrorism Act and Proliferation Act of 2009. President Hakainde Hichilema amended it to 2023 and signed it into law in 2023. Now they have brought this provision from the Cybercrime Act into this law. They are calling it cyber terrorism. When you are accused of this, let me just read it. If you are inciting, you are urging, or you are teaching, or you are enticing, or you cause ethnic division or terrorism, or you finance it, you'll be sent to prison for life. This is not even 25 years, for life. So if you said anything which they would deem unlawful, which they would deem that you are inciting or you are urging the public, or that you are teaching the public, or that you are enticing the public, or that you are motivating the public to do what they are calling cyber terrorism and ethnic talk, you will go in for life imprisonment. So, Collins, this is a very repressive law. It literally criminalizes everything we say. Further, it is entrenching and enacting a dictatorship. It's enacting tyranny. It's causing a blanket of silence in the nation. Yet, Zambians aspired to be a democracy in 1991. They said the democratic enterprise will be our undertaking, will not allow anyone. Ukutupoka, amaendele, imisoselo, now these have been taken away. So the gains of 1964, the gains of 1991 have been taken away by these various raft of laws. That's why I've said we have to read them in totality. Although we are focused on the Cybersecurity and Cyber Crimes Act, we also have to look at the NGO bill that is literally outlawing criticism, and there'll be a body that will be created to regulate civil society. The provisions in the closed circuit television bill and act of 2025, again we have to worry because of the intrusive nature that security officers, cyber security officers, the powers they are giving them. They can even just get a search warrant and camp around your neighbors. Your neighbors are obliged, if you are a person of interest, to open their homes and their doors, and they can even put installation of CCTV to watch what is happening at your house. We think that this is a very, very serious development, and all these laws are oppressive in nature. We think that they are targeting the next year's election. They want our people not to criticize them. They want our people not to speak freely. And for civil society must learn that even the PVT we do, where we get ECZ data from a polling station and we collect it under what we call parallel voter tabulation and then predict who the winner of the election is. All these have now been criminalized. It is being called that you are abusing electronic equipment illegally. Collins, repeat. I can't hear. Tell your technician to pick up your voice.
Of the situation during polling day, as 2026 draws closer, on the actual polling day, people would want to be sharing information in real time. Okay. Now, with the coming of the cyber crimes law, what wider implication does this provide for the citizens and generally the stakeholders in the elections?
Like I said, Collins, it's very, very clear. The provisions in Article Section 19(1), of Act Number 4 of 2025, the Cyber Crimes and Cybersecurity Act, prohibits circulation of multiple messages to unsolicited people. So you cannot get the message and just forward it to your groups. That becomes illegal. But that that during elections, that's what we do. We take pictures of what is happening at every polling station, and we begin to share. I can go to Kablonga polling station and I see that there are long queues. I take pictures of that and I share. That becomes criminal offense. If there are results, I can go to a polling station, take a picture of a polling station, and send it to my center in Lusaka so that they can collect and understand how we are doing in the polling station, in the district, in the province, and across the country. That becomes immediately illegal. You will be, first of all, communicating information that is not official, because they've categorized who can communicate official information. So you're not ECZ. PVT is therefore not an ECZ 2. It's a civil society 2 or political parties to. They will not allow us to use that according to the law. For me, that is my reading, is that other than that is bringing a blanket silence on our country. They want to restrict highly activities that will take place during the elections. And this is where we are concerned that we are a democracy. We are a free people. We are not abusing. There'll be one or two people that will abuse social media. Like in every law that is promulgated is to attend to what the issue could be. But here there's totally no justification to these oppressive provisions that have been provided to, curb speech, prohibit speech, literally outlaw activities that promote transparency and accountability.
Access to information, which ideally is supposed to be a right. How does that affect access to information? Because we will need, the citizens need information in real time, okay? And there is a provision constitutionally that citizens are entitled to information. So this bill, in essence, according to the interpretation that has come out of this discussion, outlaws that as well. So then, how do you, as a major stakeholder, how would you advise government to proceed to harness this situation before it escalates further with discontent from the broader section?
Thank you very much. We noted, Collins, that there were activities, I think, designed to challenge this law. The constitutionality of this law is clearly doubted because it's breaching various provisions of the Constitution, especially those contained in Part 3 of the Republican Constitution that guarantees freedom of thought, freedom of expression, freedom of the press, freedom of movement. All those, this law is impacting very negatively because my association is limited, discriminalizing what I can circulate, what I can share. I can gather people and say what I want to say. This law is literally not allowing such a gathering to take place on social media. We can gather physically, but we can't gather on social media. This is what they're saying. By outlawing circulation of multiple messages, they don't want you to. The reason for you to circulate multiple messages is to broadcast your opinion to whoever you want, to as many people as possible. You're not imposing your opinion. People have a right to criticize you, to object, or to just not agree with whatever you have written. But we are treating like our people are children who will be influenced by whatever we circulate. Let me be very clear. I was privileged to be at the African Union, where we passed the Cybersecurity and Cyber Law Convention. I was privileged again to be at the African Union, where Zambia signed the Treaty for Cybersecurity and Cyber Crimes Convention, and we were part of the early members of the country that ratified this bill. This bill is supposed to, protect children, safeguard children, protect children from online explicit and explicit material, pornographic material, or unsolicited issues that may harm children. That is the purpose of the cyber law in America, in Europe, in UK, what we approved at the United Nations and what we approved at the African Union. The law is meant to, also attend to the crimes that are emerging, where our people are being scammed, where people are stealing identity and purporting to be you, Collins. This is the purpose of this law. This law is not intended to what this government has done, where they've hijacked a law designed to fight cyber crimes and cyber security, protect cyber security, and turned it into a law against a speech, criminalizing speech, providing repressive sanctions, like I've said, up to life imprisonment for just what you say, what you utter. They are categorizing, for example, ethnic talk. If I say you are Bemba, you are Tonga, and the policeman says, Emmanuel, what you have said is cyber ethnic, is promoting cyber ethnic division, I can go in for life. Now, if government wishes to attend to speech offenses, and first of all, Collins, we should be very clear. Our agitation has been that there should be no criminal defamation. Remember, the reason why President Hakainde Hichilema repealed the criminal defamation of the president is exactly the principle we've been pushing, what we call insult laws. You should not go to prison for insults. Imfumu itukwa kumbali. You should never go to prison for your insults. Never. So if I have offended you, if I have insulted you, you are allowed by the law to go into a civil court. The police should not help you. The police should not happen. Like what happened to Musiani today, or what happened to Munia Zulu, and what has happened to others. You are not allowed to involve the police. It's not a state matter. It will be between you and me. So in this case, if Musiani insulted your maps, they are supposed to go to civil court and it's tried there, and Musiani is fined. It's never a police matter where someone is arrested. This is what we were pushing, that defamation should never be criminal. In a democracy, defamation is never a criminal offense. In a democracy, if you are holding laws like those old laws to insult the king, insult the head of state or the sovereign, those laws were criminalized. They were trying to shut speak. They didn't want Africans not to respect the king, so they criminalized speech. We have adopted those old laws, which America and UK have abandoned because they're a democracy. They recognize the freedom of expression, that it should never be a criminal matter. And they've turned this law into a worse criminal matter than the repeal that they did on criminal defamation of the president. They left the bigger law of criminal defamation. That's why you can have a citizen like your maps take another one using the police to court and to prison. That's why you can have a state house official like Clayson Amasaka take Savoy Imboila using the police and is just a mere witness to court. That is never the principle. So the driving issue is that all insult laws should be civil matters, never criminal. If I have insulted you, if you've insulted me, I take you to a civil court, and the court has a right. All sanctions that are promulgated from that court are financial in nature. Apology and financial. Some will just be apology. They'll say, you said this on social media, apologize in the same vein. The News Diggers or the Mast or Daily Nation carried this, Ask Daily Nation, in the same breath to apologize to you. Or because the insults injured your character, we will charge you 5,000, 10,000 kwacha. That is what is supposed to happen. So the existence of the law, criminal defamation, now we have imported it under the cyber law, is totally unacceptable in a democracy. And you asked a good question, Collins. What do? We should support activities like that of the Law Association of Zambia that is challenging this law. We should support anyone who has gone to court about this law and probably even join the case to ensure that it's expunged from our statute.
Quite interestingly, ambassadors, Zambia is a country that trades on tribal cousinship. We have the Lozis, we have the Tongas trading their tribal cousinship. We have got the Bembas and the Ngonis trading their tribal cousinship. What happens to the humor that the pleasantries and the humor that we share as tribal cousins in the space that has been created now with the introduction of the Cyber Crimes and Security Bill?
Collins, when you read Section 24.1, which is dealing with ethnic talk, the kind of chimbuya, where we associate monkeys with bembas, cattle, ng'ombe with tongas, hopani, or water monitor lizard with the lozzies, or, Bakchipatas causeway, you are treading on extremely dangerous ground, because the blanket nature of the law simply says if you incite, who defines what an incitation is? If you urge, if you teach, if you entice, if you motivate, if you speak ethnic division, that amounts to cyber terrorism. The crafting of this law, a joke can easily become extremely dangerous for one, and one can go to court. And the way the blanket nature of the law, if you read it in section 24, sabbatical 1, is dangerous. So nechimbuya chine chikapwa. Nechimbuya chine, me, I would advise that while the law is there, you better not talk, because it has outlawed all ethnic talk. It literally doesn't want anyone to speak issues of tribe or ethnicity. You are aware that under sedition, our colleagues, Honorable Maureen Mawonga, Munia Zulu, and others are in court just over tribal talk. And in their cases, they were defending the matter. They were appealing to President Hakainde Hichilema that you have youths in Southern Province that are saying Edgar Lungu is not, that is a no-go area for Edgar Lungu in Southern Province. You had youths in Northwestern Province that were saying that Edgar Lungu will be circumcised and his life will be taken away, and that they will not allow the nonsense, and they were seeking permission from the president to take away the life of the former president Edgar Lungu. Our MPs were revolted. They were in revulsion against that talk, and they challenged the Inspector General of Police to arrest those two. And they even said, what if we said the same thing about you people? What if we said the same thing about President Hakainde Hichilema? So can the Inspector General of Police arrest those youths? They were the ones that were arrested. Their matter was turned to criminal sedition, that they were inciting tribal talk, that they were inciting tribal, and they are in court. For Munia Zulu has even been jailed. So the selective nature and application of the law is what worries us. This law has no space, has no room for a growing democracy like Zambia. Our democratic aspirations are very lofty. We are held very highly in Africa that we change governments, we hold peaceful elections, that an opposition leader can win elections, and it can be guaranteed that the reins of power will be submitted to him, that Zambians speak freely, pen freely. That has been the spirit and the flag bearer that we are in Africa. President Hakainde Hichilema is taking away all that. We are now being deemed as an autocratic government. There was a rating of transparent, open, democratic government, and we're rated 5 of the West, ranked with other military governments. Yet we were a democracy ranked number 1, number 2, number 3, on top there out of 55 member states. Now we are on the bottom. So that is our consequence.
An ambassador, and we are supposed to uphold Christian values and principles, ideally. So, looking at this law, it is in a sense designed to curb the frivolous insolence that we have seen escalate on social media. However, one wishes to understand who determines the gravity of the offense in the case of insults. Because we trade certain words that otherwise are said to be insults, but further interpretation would find that they are not insults after all. So this is a very relative kind of law in my view when I look at it critically. So really, who pins down to say that these utterance is tantamount to 5 years, 7 years, 15, or life.
Oh, thank you, Collins. Yeah, the way the law has been crafted is extremely dangerous. Remember, there is a cyber security center that is being established. There will be cyber security teams that will be established. There are various bodies, centers, and teams that have been formed by the Cyber Security Act and by the Cyber Crimes Act and the Anti-Terrorism Law, and also under the closed circuit television. They are centralizing everything relating to cyber and cyber security. And I was surprised by another thing, Collins, that the crime to share traffic data is now a very serious criminal offense. And if you share any traffic data, you circulate any traffic data, it's also a security offense. So I don't know, you radio stations that deal with data and traffic data, if you are safe. Again, we have to understand what traffic are they talking about. Is it internet communication? Is it traffic as in traffic, ordinary traffic? So you ask a good question. Who determines that these are offenses? Well, it will be the Zambia police and the various security teams that have been established. These security teams will say, no, Emmanuel Mwamba, what you said is a criminal offense. It violates ethnic talk. Therefore, we'll charge you under this law with cyber terrorism, because you as a member, you were talking about the Easterners, that you disparaged them, you incited them, or you said something unpleasant about them, and they'll take you to court, and the court will find you guilty. We know it's difficult to legislate peace. It's difficult to legislate security. It doesn't lie in what President Hakainde Hichilema is trying to do, where he's trying to legislate peace. You cannot legislate peace. Peace cannot be legislated. It's such an intangible asset that is only achieved through principles of justice, principles of equity, principles of fairness and equal before the law. Only entrenched and secured if you feed your people, if people are not living in squalor and in poverty, that you have brought equality. You cannot legislate peace in the manner he wishes. So he thinks, and his government, President Hakainde Hichilema and his government, think that they can, by these laws, impose peace on our country because there will be a repressive law with stiff punishment. We should learn from cases of defilement. In the 90s, government were so incensed like we are now, where children were being raped, were being defiled. And the offenses at the time were just minimal, 3 years, 2 years. They were raised to 15 years, to 30 years. Even bail was revoked. I don't know who reimposed bail on sexual offenses against children and women. Did the crime go away? The crime has even become worse, because where does the cure for this protection of children lie? If you have children coming from broken homes, if you have children, whose uncles are drunk with tujidi, if you have children whose parents are seeking instant wealth and they wish to sacrifice children, these cases will not go away. You have to go to the root cause. Why are parents defiling their daughters? Why are uncles touching those children? Why are these men? Even if you say, take them for life, if you have not attended to the primary issue, you will see the cases continue to escalate. So similarly, the president should ask himself, why is there ethnic talk? For me, the answer is very clear. If you appoint people from your own tribe, your own household, your own ethnic line, or from your own region, you expect the country to be quiet about it? If you are excluding other tribes from the national cake, you expect silence from the others that feel excluded? Wasn't it President Hakainde Hichilema who was accusing President Lungu of practicing tribalism? So why is his government and he himself engaged in reverse tribalism? And he doesn't want us to speak about it because he has brought this big law. No. Like I said, you cannot, any peace and security study expert or student will tell you cannot legislate peace. You cannot achieve peace by a barrel of gun or by a barrel of legislation. Peace is an intangible asset. Let us apply principles that allow
so in essence, the main issue that we have here, Ambassador, is that of legislating peace, as it were, right? But then we have quite a number of issues, and these issues need to be spoken to directly, and you as leaders are there to help in smoothing this discourse so that there is a broader understanding from the people. Viewers, we invite you to join us and be interactive with Ambassador Emmanuel Mwamba as we discuss the cybersecurity bill. Join us, call us on the number that is scrolling on your screen. Find time to be interactive. We will also be able to read through your messages, and Ambassador Mwamba, if posed some questions, will adequately respond to them. Ambassador, the other issue I wanted us to look at critically stems from some of the foregone discussions. And critics argue that the laws may be used selectively to target opposition voices. Okay, what guarantees do you believe are needed to ensure fair enforcement of these laws, especially across the political spectrum?
Thank you, Collins. It is very clear that there has been no equal application of the law, that the implementation has been extremely selective. Currently, you have the young man, Mafinga MP Robert Chabinga, who issued threats against the diplomatic community. He says there is a selected number of diplomatic community, members of the diplomats, members, ambassadors, that he thinks should be deported. And he wants to put them on cargo planes. And he says they should be removed from this country for funding the opposition. Those are very dangerous remarks. Has Robert Chabinga been arrested? Who broadcast the material? ZNBC put it #1 item on ZNBC. And they repeated it on various bulletins. But you will not see a call out to ZNBC or to Robert Chabinga. That's a selective nature we are talking about. But the police have been quick to call anyone, to summon anyone, lock them up. Sometimes they even follow them wherever they are. They followed me to a private place where I was washing my car, bundled me, beat me up, knocked out my tooth. They kept me incognito. My family and my lawyers didn't know where I was for 24 hours. But what about these youths, for example, who have threatened to take away the life of the former president? Where is the Inspector General of Police? Why hasn't he called them? Where is the Inspector General of Police if there are these youths that are saying they will circumcise Edgar Lungu? Where is the Inspector General of Police? What about these youths that are warning Edgar Lungu that he should never go to Southern Province? It's a no-go area for a person like Edgar Lungu. Where is the Zambia police? Where is Grafio Msamba on these cases? Every day, we saw the Minister of Education, Douglas Yakarima, says literally question the mental capacity and mental health of people of Luapula. And he says that's why they are behind, and he used unpalatable language against the people of Luapula. Did the Inspector General of Police or his officers call Douglas Yakarima? No, he didn't. You have the Secretary General of the UPND, Batuke Imenda, Ko, the foremost leader of the Catholic Church in Zambia. And he said this man is a Lucifer, and he used unpalatable language accusing the Archbishop of promoting what he purported to be genocide in the country. Where is the Inspector General of Police? And even when we try to enforce this, my dear brother Sean Tembo took both Douglas Yakarima and Batuke Imenda to court. The DPP, Director of Public Prosecutions, refused to grant authority for a private prosecution against clear cases of hate speech, very careless, irresponsible hate speech against these individuals. But when it's Nakachinda, when it's Emmanuel Mwamba, when it's Fred Membe, when it's Sean Tembo, when it is Given Lubinda, they will round us, lock us up, and they will say, that we incited. I am also very grieved by the case of Munia Zulu. Munia Zulu said the 3 key officials in government were corrupt. He said he had information because he's a member of APNAC, a coalition of parliamentarians that fight corruption. He says, I've received this information that these men received $250,000 in bribe. He's sitting in jail today. If Munia Zulu had offended Honorable Musoko Twane and Honorable Charles Milupi and the RDA chairperson, why didn't they sue him in the High Court for defamation? And they could have fined him. But no, they had to use a criminal case where they didn't even bother to come to court to say their side of the story, how they were offended. And the prosecution of that entire case puts in doubt justice, because they just brought one witness here and there, the usual witnesses that we know they are bringing. And the police officer, they closed the matter, and Munia Zulu has lost his seat and is sitting in jail for a matter that we should have investigated. Is it true that these ministers received these bribes? For me, that's where the focus should have been. And if we proved after such an investigation that Munia Zulu, Honorable Munia Zulu, was not telling the truth, maybe then you could start a criminal case against him. But you can't abandon what the whistleblower is saying and pursue the whistleblower for what the whistleblower is saying. That's not the purpose of promoting transparency and accountability.
Well, thank you very much, Ambassador Mwamba. That's been very clear. We have a caller on the line, and a caller, you are through to Millennium tonight, and we have Ambassador Mwamba on the line. Please proceed with your question or comment.
Okay, good evening.
Good evening. Your name and where you're calling us from?
Okay, Mr. Chong, calling from Lusaka.
Yes, Mr. Chongwe from Lusaka. Please proceed with your question or comment.
Good evening, sir, Mr. Mwamba.
He can hear you.
All right, okay. Now, my contribution this evening is on about the same issue we are discussing concerning cyber law and cyber security. On this one, I think my take is that current government is not discussing to do with democracy in this country. Automatically, democracy has been killed by UPND itself. Cried too much previously when we were in opposition to say, accusing the former president CEO and patriotic front that they were dictators. Right now, we are witnessing who the dictators are. On the issue of the current president, Mr. President, he claimed to be the farmer, and then he lied to the public to say, okay, like farming inputs will be cheaper once voted into power. Again, he's an economist. That's what he claims. He's an economist. But to be honest, he has failed the economy of this country. And then after realizing that he has failed economics, of which now he has lashed to do what to tamper with the constitution, of which he's not even a lawyer. On that note, he is trying by all means to cram each and every voice, very vocal, each and every person who is trying to oppose him, being cramped by the same dangerous laws that has been implemented by, with his government. On this one, as a country, we put hands together so that come 2026, at least with We need to make sure that these people are out of this authority, because they will to destroy this country of this government. Now it will be very, very difficult for them now to mend what they are destroying this time around. Our current president doesn't understand livestock farm, which now they are shifted from talking about the issue of solving the and everything. That's why now we are trying by all means to tamper with the constitution. And our worry now is about the judiciary. This judiciary we are having right now is a problem, because people now have no confidence that whenever they have issues, they are afraid to take matters to court. For example, me myself, I have some issues which I'm afraid that even if I take this issue to court, this time around the court is compromised, of which I have no interest at all. So our prayer is that come next year, 2026, we need to work together. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chongwe from Matero. Ambassador, we have a contribution from a caller. Perhaps we can accommodate maybe 2-3 more callers so that you can respond to those collectively. Hello, caller, you are through to Millennium tonight. Your name and where you're calling from? Unfortunately, we have lost that caller. We are hoping that he can call through again. Caller, you are through to Millennium tonight. Your name and where you're calling us from?
Yes, my name is Young Chiponta. I'm calling you from Lusaka.
Go ahead with the question and contribution, sir.
Yes, I just want to find out from Mr. Mwamba, who introduced the cyber law which we are talking about today? Is it not the PF? Two, I want to ask Mr. Mwamba, he has forgotten. Who went to the house of the president Hakainde Hichilema there to go and mess up, to do everything there? Is it not the PM? Who introduced Kamkoti Kusoweto Kucha? You know, sometimes mkaziba funza bemano Mwamba mwaibana kutala namula bapene. Who introduced Kamkoti? Well, they used to be tortured there, but this time there is nothing. The president has put everything. He has put everything in order. There is law and there is order. No one has been beaten, killing, there's nothing. So mubafunzi Emmanuel Mwamba chibanaleta cyber law iyi. Sindimwe, just because to tell you innovation, my own it is not a good thing. So bafunzi now, you ask him that who introduced the cyber law? Was it in PF or is in UPND? So you ask him.
We are especially grateful that you have asked that question. He is listening.
And again, who went to break out to break that house for the president Hakainde Hichilema there? Was it not in peace? You know, this time, let's say the truth and let's tell the nation the truth. There is a peace in the country today under President Hakainde Hichilema. The peace, please. Let's not delete the Zambians. My own. Just because today you're in opposition, that you're complaining. Who brought all even the certificate? Be careful. Have you seen? After they have seen they don't have papers for grade 12, they started complaining again. They started designing. So you ask him, Mr. Mwamba, I think he's listening what I'm trying to say today. Thank you, I submit.
Thank you very much for your submission, sir.
Okay, welcome.
Thank you. So perhaps we take on one more caller, then you can respond to those, Ambassador. You are through to Millennium tonight. Your name and where you're calling us from? We will call you Mr. X. Mr. X, twapapata ngatiba imyako eshiwi mulilo sana. Yes, Mr. X, go ahead with the question or contribution.
Emmanuel Mwamba fintukairanda fintukankalanga ena eko wakichucha eronga mwakumako epali ino nchitanangu fintu file moneka fyokwe bati filife straight kutia favor yo complainant balesa mkutitisha kive ama court nomba ngali kwati bae yalife ya government nomba ntire yaba UP so Emmanuel nga mwaisa sampawa chaba bantu ama judges abaretisha abantu bali abaretisha abantu ama judges ekuwa munja sukapanga kula bakonga na beno kula bepushati yamu apingwile shani so banja sukepalisho bamwamba na totera Mr. X
Twatashaba Mr. X Mkwaye Kitwe. Ambassador, we have another one coming in quick. You are through to Millennium tonight. Your name and where you're calling us from?
Hello?
Hello, you are through to Millennium tonight. Your name and where you're calling us from. Then you can proceed with your question or contribution.
Good evening. You're talking with Charles Kapembo.
Mr. Kapembwa, where are you calling us from?
From Nakonde.
Please go ahead with your question or contribution, Mr. Kapembwa.
I'm sure Muleo.
Iyo vanele salet sunga.
Bakapembwa bweshani ko volume ku TV enu mkwaye.
Twalaikala shani kwe batimo kuseka ekimbwe n'abaneesu bamukimyaba. Twalainda shani kanyi ayawana perera popene.
Yeah.
But at least four questions come through. We can respond to that and we'll proceed with the remainder of the questions.
Thank you very much, and thank you to all our dears. The first caller was very clear. Law is killing our democracy, and in fact, he went to the extent that nowadays remind the president of his own campaign is criminalized. The police are likely to pick you up. If you remind the president that, Mr. President, you said most 50 kwacha, therefore, the 100 kwacha, therefore, Mr. President, you are a liar, you lied. The police will pick you up. If you remind the president that you said to be giving 8 bags of, and that one price of fertilizer will be 200 kwacha, and he hasn't done that in 4 years, and you say, Mr. President, you lied, they'll pick you up. If you remind the president, you said the price of fuel, you will reduce from 17 kwacha to 12 kwacha, but it's now 34 kwacha. President, you lied. They'll pick you up and they'll say you are defaming the president or you are engaged in criminal defamation. If you remind that, Mr. President, you said the exchange rate, the dollar to a kwacha will be kwacha. You found it at 17 kwacha. Now it's sitting at 28 kwacha. Therefore, Mr. President, you lied. They will say, no, you are engaged in criminal defamation. Pick you up. So, yes, I agree with you. A law like this is fostering tyranny. A law like this is like enacting a dictatorship. Let me take time to answer Mr. Dan Chiponta, who says, who's the cyber law? I have just demonstrated to you that the UN and the African Union, all of them adopted conventions to cyber crimes and to foster security on this new space that has emerged on the internet. It's a very, very, very good law. So the PF proceeded like many African countries, like the United States, like the UNDOM did, proceeded to enact this law. Remember the purpose of the cyber crimes and cyber security. First, to safeguard our line, to fight child pornography, to ensure that child online protection is fostered, and to protect you from the scams that take place. Where was the apprehension when the government of PF passed this law in one? It related to the issues of speech, or that the speech was being criminalized. In fact, President Hakainde Hichilema promised that the day his duty in office would be to repeal the Public Order Act and the Cyber Security and Cyber Crimes Act of 2021. That was his. But what has he done? He has even done some very worse, Mr. Chaponda. Very, very well. He's now even calling for life imprisonment. If you're Mulelanda, uyu mbuya wandu wachivaku kuna konde fyachilanda Charles Kapembwa. You can go in for life. That's what President Hakainde Hichilema has provided for 25 years, where Edgar Lungu provided for 5 years, or a has provided for 15 years, 7 years, and 5 years. He has taken this law to another level, to literally put it of silence, to oppress our people. Mr. Chaponda says there is peace country. I don't know if Mr. Chaponda knows what it is. Peace is not the absence of war. No. If people are going to bed hungry, they haven't eaten, you are in danger as a country. If you have your adult population, they do not have jobs, you are in danger as a country. If you have young, energetic, educated, they want to work and there's nowhere to find work, there is no peace in that country, because it could just take light and your country can flare up. Just recently, we've had 2 of our officials abducted by UPND. Last week, our Mandevu constituency and Lusaka province National Youth Channel was abducted from Mutumbi Cemetery, where he had gone to bury a loved one, and the UPND officials recognized him. Acha PF. They took him away in a car. We did he was for over 6 hours. Lucky enough, our Ebo MP Christopher Shaka Fuswa went from police station to police station, and we blew it up on social media. And then we found that our official was surrendered, beaten at City Market police station. He's not the only one. There's a gentleman we call Vanene. He does our jokes, in Tonga. They call him Vanene. They just found him on Freedom Way. They recognize Vanene. Shida tukawa kateka. They beat the young man up. They beat him. We couldn't locate him for 3 days. And the next we saw, he was coming from hospital. So when Mr. Chiponta says there's no Kamugodi, the Kamugodi is even worse. Maybe us, the media, are not reporting about it correctly. Kai said he's saying there's now, Hakainde Hichilema has brought peace. No. He found Millennium at 120 kwacha, is now at 400 kwacha. He has not brought peace. If he found poverty levels at 54%, they are now at 60%. If he found that
the viewers, we still encourage you to make time to call in and be interactive as we share more with Ambassador Emmanuel Mwamba. Ambassador, I have a question for you that is of interest to me that I would want you to speak to. Okay, and this is with regards international standards and our newly introduced cyber crimes law. We have already seen that the U.S. Embassy hastily notifies its citizens with regards to the development in Zambia, and I'm quite certain other countries have followed suit that recognize the dangers or the merits of the law that has been put into play. How do these laws align with international standards on human rights and digital freedoms, particularly in light of concerns from foreign diplomats and human rights organizations?
Yeah, no, it's a serious matter. You heard the United Nations Human Rights Commission Special Rapporteur has confirmed that she has received various complaints from various stakeholders from Zambia, and that she's also expressed concern the extent of this law in which they are undermining human rights in Zambia. This is a very bad law for our investment, our international standing, our democratic standing, our practice of human rights and defending human rights. So the law is very bad internationally because it intrudes in your privacy. Remember, this law can it even empowers to security officers to intercept messages, your communication, your WhatsApp, your ordinary calls, your SMSs. The security officers can go to court and obtain a warrant. And if you have seen the way they obtain search warrants, you will not even have any idea, because these applications are held ex parte, and they can come into your phone, see your entire communication. And like I warned Collins, we have to look at the laws in their entirety. there is a closed circuit
Ambassador, I'm sorry I've had
law.
to make you hold. There's a call. I want us to accommodate as many viewers as possible because there are interesting insights from there. Ikola, you are through to Millennium tonight, and we have the ambassador on the other end. Would you please care to share your name and your location?
Yes, this is Hambulo calling in Lusaka. My question to Ambassador is, when the Tosa lands forms government in 2026, are you going to remove this cyber security and cyber crimes act, which is curtailing the freedom of speech, and freedom, personal freedoms? Are you going to remove to repeal this act, these two acts after 2026? Then my second question is, now that the act is here, okay, how do we navigate around this as opposition? Because I believe that, of course, we've seen what has happened to Chavinga. He did commit a crime, a cyber security crime, and he spread false information. And up to date, he hasn't been caught by the police or arrested by the police, like what happened to Nia Zulu, who said Parliament to be dissolved, the president of Parliament. This scope of crime, how did he arrested? And that's clear to guy now that the opposition, they must tread careful, because I feel fair.
I expedite the question, please.
Yes, yeah, that's my question. Good evening, God bless. Thank you. And by joining the program, someone, but keep on giving us information, keep on telling us what to do. And as I wind up, what is the plan for 2026? Good evening.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Hambulo. Ambassador, we just pick up two more callers, and I think those will be the last phone calls that will be admitting for the program tonight. Hello, you are through to Millennium tonight. Your name and where you are calling us from, sir?
This is Fano Mwangala, senior citizen.
Welcome, Mr. Mwangala, senior citizen. Please go ahead with a question or contribution.
My question is, did this law, before it was offended by the president, necessary sensitization so that people understand it? Because other people think it's just like another law. But when you hear what is involved here, people are expressing fear. I'm really surprised. Such a law, why was it rushed? I thought maybe to receive that kind of sensitization across the entire country. Because other people may just commit it out of ignorance, not knowing what this law is all about. That is my simple question. Thank you.
Thank you very much, senior citizen Mwangala. Viewers, please watch the number on the screen, dial it, and you'll be interactive with us. We have Ambassador Emmanuel Mwamba on the other end. We should be able to get interactive, delving on the topic of discussion, make a contribution, and we'll be glad to receive your submission. We are discussing the Cyber Security, Cyber Crimes Act, and today we really want to talk around this discussion that a lot of people are discussing at street corners, in their public offices, but hardly do they understand what is critically involved in it. Ambassador, perhaps in the interest of time, we can delve into discussing, addressing the questions that have come through and give our last remarks, because the program has really come to an end, man.
Yeah, thank you very much. No, the matter is very clear. This law is very oppressive. It has to be read with other laws that are being passed or have been passed. The sanctions that are being provided for, especially for speech offenses, are extremely oppressive 5 years, 7 years, 25 years, life imprisonment for a speech offense. You asked a good question. Will we repeal this? I think that is our call to Zambians. Is that, look, you voted out the Patriotic Front. You accuse the Patriotic Front of engaging in a lot of things. The UPND, the very things you condemned, the very things you changed government over, are doing it far worse. They said they will reduce the price of Millennium and other commodities. The prices are far higher. They said they will attend to the high cost of living. It has become worse. This law doesn't have space in a democracy. As envisioned by our forefathers and our foremothers, it should not be in our laws. We will leave intact the Cyber Crimes and Cybersecurity Act. However, we will remove the offenses that have been attributed to issues of speech. Those clauses in a cyber law do not belong in that law. There are other attendant laws, such as sedition, that will be removed immediately, because these are very old, oppressive laws by our colonial masters. The Public Order Act, these were laws designed that our people do not communicate or enjoy freedom of association. The selective application, we've talked about it. Let's take another example of Petauke independent MP, Emmanuel Banda. In front of his lawyers, he told the police, I know the people that have abducted me. And he identified 2 State House officials. The police have never even bothered to invite the 2 senior officials from State House for an interview to affirm, establish, investigate who is telling the truth between Emmanuel Banda and the 2 officials. Instead, they brought an old crime, matters that were resolved at court. They said, no, you committed an offense in 2024. We'll start with this before we attend to that. And the people that abducted JJ, according to him, are still roaming freely. Mwamba has brought up a very good issue. He says, why isn't there awareness? Why isn't there sensitization? They don't mean it. They don't want you to know. They just want you to see the way our young people are being picked, locked up because they posted something on TikTok. They sang a song on TikTok. They're being picked up, locked up. Some are being detained up to 32 days. They are policing social media so much, and they are isolating our people. You will not even know until the mothers or the fathers or the brothers begin to cry to us. It has been 2 weeks. Police umwana.
As I cut you short, I want us to conclude on the matter. And in conclusion, I'd want you to give me your final remarks in under a minute. And this has to speak to the issue that we are discussing. And what message do you want to convey to the Zambians who are worried about these laws, and how can they protect their rights while navigating the new legal landscape? In under a minute, we close the program.
First of all, object to the proposed constitutional amendments. The way they sneaked in these cyber laws, enacted them without much fanfare, this is how our constitution will be passed. The 13 proposed clauses that they've proposed for amendment, there is no awareness about them. There is no discussion about them. There is no consensus that has been built over them. Major stakeholders have objected to these constitutional amendments, but government is determined. When your voice is not raised, like we didn't raise our voices on cyber crimes, the new proposed amendments will become law. It is imperative among Zambians to own this process and remind government that this country belongs to all of us. It doesn't belong to one person or one president or one political party. This is our country together. It should be ruled and governed with our consensus. A government is elected by the people. It has a mandatory duty to respect the will of the people, not to abuse the mandate given to it by fostering dictatorship and tyranny. So I'd like to thank you for the opportunity you gave us. We think that the cyber crimes law in the manner it is impacting negatively to the free and fair of our elections next year. This, together with the other laws that are being passed. So, Collins, I'm grateful to you and grateful to your management. And thanks to the viewers that called, both, those that agreed with us and those that didn't agree with us. God bless you and God bless our country.
Very, very interesting discussion with Ambassador Emmanuel Mwamba. He's joined us all the way from the United States in discussing the Cyber Crimes and Cyber Security Act. And I'm quite certain that we have picked learning points from that, and caution has been served. Cyber Security, Cyber Crimes Act is law.